The next thing we're going to learn about is how you can multiply and divide different terms together to simplify the expression again. Firstly, we'll look at multiplying because it's much easier than dividing. And let's go back to looking at a pretty simple expression. Let's say we have 4 times x, 4xb. And remember that whenever we've got a number or a coefficient next to some letters, that means we're multiplying everything together. So 4xb is the same as 4 times x times b, which means if we're multiplying expressions together or terms together, we can simplify them pretty easily. So if we have our 4xb and we're multiplying that by 3xa, or let's say just 3a, then we can think of all that in expanded form by writing the multiply symbols. 4 times x times b times 3 times a. And now we can see, since everything's multiplying together, we can write that as one big term. 3 times 4 we know is 12. So we're allowed to swap the 3 to here because we're multiplying, and that's the commutative law, or commutativity. And then we have x, b, and a all multiplying together. X times b times a. So now we've simplified it. The next thing to be able to do is how can we divide terms? And firstly, let's go back to some basics. We remember that a number divided by itself is always 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1 because we can think how many groups of 4 are there in 4? There's only 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 102 divided by 102, that's 1 as well. Which means in algebra, if we have a pronumeral like a, which could be the number of American people in the room, and we have a divided by itself, even though we don't know how many American people there are, we don't know the number of a, we still know that any number divided by itself is 1. And this is important when we're dividing terms. So if we have terms like 4a divided by 2a, the first step is it's much easier to write a division as a fraction because we know divide means a fraction as well, and a fraction is the same as divide. So 4a divided by 2a. Well, one way we can think about this is, let's rewrite it with the multiply symbols to help us see what's happening. So we have 4 times a divided by 2 lots of a. Well, this is basically like having one number on the top, because 4 times a, that's giving us a number. So just like a normal fraction, if we had 4 over 2, we can simplify these numbers by thinking of the highest common factor and dividing by that. So here we have the highest common factor of 2. Let's divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. And that gives us 2 times a over 1 times a. And 1 times a, we don't really need the 1 anymore. So that's the same as saying 2 times a over a. But remember that anything divided by itself is 1. So a divided by a, we can think of it as dividing by a common factor. Both of those a's become 1, which is 2 times 1 over 1. And we don't really need to write any of these 1's because 2 times 1 is 2. And divided by 1, that's still 2. So basically, all these 1's disappear, and it just leaves us with 2. Let's practice another example. If we have 15 times x times y divided by 20 times y times z, again we can think of the highest common factor to simplify the numbers, and 5 is the highest here. So we'll divide by 5. That gives us 3 over 4. And for the pronumerals, we can see that y is the only common factor between both of these. So we can basically cancel out the y's because we're dividing the top and the bottom by y. And that leaves us with x on the top and z on the bottom. So this is simplified now.